So, you ever wonder how Ouija boards and pendulums work? Let's talk about the idiomotor effect. It's time to get some psychology in here. So, let's start off with what is the idiomotor effect, right? So, you ever hear somebody when they're playing like the Ouija board, right? They're like, "You're moving it. No, you're moving it." And when it's moving and everyone's like pointing fingers at each other even though the fingers are on the planchette, and they're wondering why is it moving, and as long as somebody's not intentionally playing a prank, what makes it move? So, and same thing with pendulums too. You ask a question and you're like clockwise for yes, counterclockwise for no. Or swing this way for yes and this way for no. And you ask questions, and sure enough, it goes clockwise or counterclockwise or this way or that way. The idea is what makes that happen. So, given that it's Magickology here, we're going to take some psychology and see how that would apply to the spiritual sciences and magic and witchcraft paganism, right? So the idiomotor effect, if I go to my notes here, because you guys know I always try to have notes, unless I wing it, but yeah. So the idiomotor effect comes from the words idio, meaning mind, and motor, meaning muscle. So, mind and muscle. So, the term idiomotor was first used in a scientific paper discussing the means through which the phenomena of Ouija boards and pendulums and things like that was studied by a guy named William Benjamin Carpenter in 1852. So, it described that movements that are out of the awareness of the person doing them. So, basically, it's subconscious movements. So, when I'm raising my arm, I'm thinking about raising my arm. If I'm wrapping my fingers on the table, I'm thinking about it. The idea is it's the movements you're not exactly thinking about, and they can be very, very, very subtle movements. So basically, the skeptics will say, you want an answer, you're looking for an answer, you're looking for a word, and your subconscious desires about wanting to get an answer off of the planchette or a pendulum or what have you drives your muscles to move in such a fashion slowly that you don't notice it. So it's got to be something else, right? So let's see if I got any more notes here. So a lot of people attribute things like pendulums and Ouija boards to this effect, citing that the mind of the practitioner has a sort of self-fulfilling prophecy when a pendulum swings a certain way or a planchette spells out certain words, or any words for that matter. As long as you don't get Zozo. If you know about Zozo and Ouija boards, man, drop it in the comments. I want to know who else learned about that. Not sure about the legitimacy of that and whatever, but it's just kind of interesting stuff. Because my Ouija board, which is behind Lama Dudeen gear back there, it's even creepier because I got it at a tag sale. So I'm not even sure about the history of it. But I've had quite a few experiences with it. I actually have a video somewhere buried in my computer files somewheres of when I did a little bit of an investigation thing at a house of one of my extended family members, and we did get some really interesting things that happened. I don't want to start like a flame war or whatever, otherwise I probably would have put it up by now. Even if because I did find it a couple of years back and I rewatched it, I'm like, whoa. Anyway, a little bit off topic, but not exactly off topic, but a little bit of a tangent. So let's get back on track here, right? So, could it be subconscious movements? I would argue yes, but here's why. A lot of times, and if you guys are watching my channel for the first time finding this video, go back through a bunch of my other videos. I talk psychology with magic because that's what my bachelor's degree is in. It's in psych. So I always apply psychology to magic. If you really want to dive deep into psychology and magic, check out my book, Magical Theater. Anyway. So I would argue that the movements of a planchette or a pendulum are subconscious in nature. However, here's where the spirituality comes in. I've always talked about how the subconscious is the gateway to the spiritual. We are beings that have extrasensory perceptions. We have the five senses. We have sense of balance, sense of relationship with other objects, sense of time, and arguably things like clairvoyance and other things like that, depending on the degrees to which people have developed them. Even the sense of being watched, and that to me is a little bit extrasensory, and technically it would be extrasensory because it's not exactly agreed upon by science, and it's an extra sense that we have. So anyway, we are the antenna for spirits. We are in the physical reality here. Spirits aren't not exactly in the physical reality. They exist in a different reality than we do, in a different plane that kind of overlaps ours, you know? Even quantum physics and stuff talks about multiple dimensions and stuff like that. We happen to live in 4. So, sorry hippies, we're not in 3D and moving into 4D. We live in 4 dimensions. Length, width, height, and time. I love getting on my soapbox down here. But, okay. So, we are the antenna for spirits to communicate with. That's when you get into like things like channeling, and when we work with spirits and rituals, we sense and feel and sometimes hear them, right? So they, through our subconscious, because that's where like things like archetypes are, and arguably where spirits can put messages in that we pick up on. And when we pick up on those messages in our antenna, right, then it communicates through us down into our hands to manipulate the pendulum or the planchette. So is it the idiomotor effect? Yes, it's minor movements that we are not conscious of. The argument here and the debate is whether or not it's from our own self-fulfilling prophecies and subconscious desires, or is it from another source? Is it from a source that is not exactly of this 4D reality that we are in? So, I mean, that's basically it in a nutshell. The idea that spirits communicate through us through the idiomotor effect, and then can influence something like a planchette or a pendulum or any other divinatory tool. If you've ever done something like automatic writing, you can kind of get a sense of that kind of thing. I myself suck at automatic writing. I'm not exactly like a channel per se, but I do get a lot of experiences and messages in my rituals that are different than what would be considered idiomotor effect. But yeah, so I think I kind of covered this one. Let me know about your experiences with Ouija boards or pendulums, and if you kind of trust those things or not, or how you employ them in your rituals and your spells and your workings when you're working with spirits or what have you. It'd be really interesting to hear about anybody else's experiences with these kinds of things, because I just shared mine with you. So let me know what you think about this. Drop stuff in the comments. Connect with me on social media, all the links to which you can find at the end of this video or down below. And check out my books if you're interested in learning more about all of the writings that I have on magic. You can also consider supporting me on Patreon. I got a bunch of perks on there. And you can also become a member of this channel to also get perks. So that's about it. Good hunting. Thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater, Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Movement, which is an update and expansion upon Handy Sigil Magic. Magical Mastery, which is a combination masterwork of Magical Theater and Magical Mechanics. And The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting.